The reason why you are not where you want to be is simply because of your own beliefs and mindsets around where you're at currently. There's a reason why you're not how you want to be in life, or you don't look the way you want to look, or your body doesn't function the way that you want it to function, is because of your own beliefs and the way you understand yourself in the world. My name is Mitchell Brooks. I'm a conscious creator. I've been in the world of manifestation and subconscious recreation for the past 5 years, coming from a long background of really having everything going against me in my own way. Meaning the beliefs I had, the mindsets I had, and the ways I felt about myself all went against me for a very long time, pretty much my whole childhood, by my own choosing, as it always is. And see, what happens is when I've learned throughout the years I've been studying this, is that it's always the deep-seated things and mindsets and beliefs that we don't necessarily know are there that affect us the most. These are the things that affect how we feel about life and the way we feel about ourselves more than anything else. And even so much so that they control our life. Now, let me break this down for you. So, you may think that the things you do day to day are what is creating your life. And now, in a very surface level way, they are. But what it takes to understand is really going deep into why you're doing the things that you are. Most of the time, what we find is that there are deep-seated beliefs that lay very low under by which we choose to act from on our day-to-day basis. For me, this always showed up in self-doubt. I wouldn't go and hang out with friends. I wouldn't go and talk and be myself around people because I believed I wasn't good enough. I believed I wasn't cool, that I was stupid, that I wouldn't fit in. Now, this came from different situations in my childhood where my honest reaction was that that was the case, that I wasn't good enough, right? And so as I moved into these different situations in life and throughout high school, that's how I felt. And so my behaviors caused me to act differently because of that. My behaviors caused me to go and move differently, right? And most of the time what this looked like was me acting like someone that wasn't really me because I didn't really know who I was, right? And if you trace things back even deeper from behavior, it's identity. What is the identity behind the behaviors, behind the actions that you're taking? Again, when I was in this place and my actions showed up like me being different than what I truly was, acting a weird sort of way, that was my action. My behavior was me thinking and feeling like I wasn't good enough, like people would judge me, like people wouldn't like me, and I wouldn't have friends. And that all came from the identity that I wasn't good enough because whatever reaction from my childhood. Dad didn't like the way I acted in one situation. It cascaded into me feeling like I'm not good enough in general. Mom or dad, you did this or that. And my honest reaction was this as a kid. You see, what happens is as you're a child, you might have heard this before, the first 7 years of your life are like the most formative when it comes to the way your brain is beginning to interpret and conceptualize the world. And so, as you can imagine, as a 7-year-old, where your logical side of your brain is developing and your right side of your brain is developing simultaneously, the environments by which you're in have a large impact on the way that you feel about the world in your present moment, right? Again, you can imagine being that kid, or when you were a kid, if your parents or environment wasn't conducive of stability and love and different positive things that you want as an adult, it's going to be hard to find those things as an adult. Notice I said harder, not impossible. But so much of the time we get stuck in these different states of feeling. We get stuck in these things these ways that we think are going to be our entire life. And if we let them, they will be. The old quote, the man who believes he won't be anything and the man believes he will, both are right? Because it's our beliefs, it's our mindsets, it's our concepts of the world that create our life. And these all come from your subconscious. They come from your paradigm. They come from your years and years of programming from childhood to teenage years to early adolescence and on. But again, keep in mind, trauma is always deeply seated in that childhood. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, whether you're the kid growing up in Africa who's just trying to survive, or the millionaire child living in $1 million homes and having everything handed to them. There's always trauma, right? There's always some sort of trauma. Because simply put, I heard this last year at a conference, I believe it was Aspire. Trauma is simply put the perceived lack of control. The perceived lack of control and the negative reaction to that perceived lack of control. So when we break that down, we look at it a little bit deeper. The perceived lack of control really just means we didn't feel like we had anything to do. Like the video I made yesterday, we didn't have any control over what happened, right? And as a child, that hurts. And as I've learned that and embodied it and seen it, I try my best to see it from my daughter's perspective. She's 4 years old. She's just learning about the world. She doesn't know about the 800 things that are stressing me out during the day. She doesn't know about the 5 things that are stressing me out from years ago. She doesn't know about the childhood traumas that I have and I'm still working on figuring out and understanding and expressing. She doesn't know about any of that. She's learning her world, her concept of the world, her understandings of life and people and relationships and environments. So who am I to bring my negativity from all of my stuff into her world and help her create a world with that same negativity? Right? This is the basis of generational curses. When we are not mindful, when we don't practice our mindful ability to understand what we've been through, we then duplicate it into our children and everybody else we're around. Because again, especially our children though, because again, that first 7 years, what are children like in their first 7 years of life? Sometimes intolerable, sometimes very hard to deal with because their emotional mind is still developing, just like their logical brain. But here's something, I'm sorry, both of them are still developing. Their left side brain, their logical side brain is this thing that's still very majorly developing. That's what I meant to say, not right side. Because as a parent, we're meant to bond those two together. We're meant to help the child understand their emotions. Their emotions come out, they come out of the womb relatively emotionally developed, but it's the logical left side that helps them understand their emotions that actually helps them be a functioning adult or even a functioning teenager or child, right? And so when we don't face our traumas, we don't face the issues that we've been in, we don't face the things that we're meant to face as an adult, working through our childhood traumas, we then unanimously, or not unanimously, we download them in, we upload them into our children. Because our children get the worst of us. They get the best and worst of us. There is no off switch for a child, thankfully, right? So you can see how this thing gets a little bit twisty if you let it. If you're not doing the work, but then you have a child, and then you have your jobs, and then you have your other things, it's very easy to run out of time to do the work or never make time to do the work that then helps you feed your child and your jobs better. So it's always better to get on the front end of this no matter what, meaning the work of understanding your traumas and the things you've been through and why you are manifesting things the way that you are. It's always best to get in front of it as early as you can because it takes time. It takes time to rewire your brain to be more adapted and ready for positive emotions rather than negative emotions. All right? That's another side of this. The more, as we do things and get better and build habits, our brain is constantly firing and wiring, right? Neuroplasticity. Our brain is constantly, no matter what, no matter how old you are, your brain is constantly forming around the things that you're doing. And so if you've spent a life feeling very sad, it's going to take some time to rewire your mind to be more positive. But my friend, it's always worth it because you've got to know, the only reason you wouldn't go for it is if you think that you can't do it. And I'm here today to help you understand that you can always do it. You can always rewire. You can always change the circuitry. Again, I grew up my whole life being this anxious kid who was always very anxious, very self-conscious, very unable to express myself. Or at least that's what I felt like. I remember sitting in reading English class in 4th grade, elementary school, right? Less than 10 years old, worried to death about what everybody else thought about what I was going to write on a piece of paper. To the point where I would fail a lot of these tests because a lot of these writing assignments because I didn't know what to do. I just wouldn't write anything. It wouldn't be a good story. Now, fast forward 20 years, I love writing. I've taken the time and I want to spend a lot more time writing. I'm writing a couple different projects that I plan to write for, I don't know how long, several years before they're ever finished. But I enjoy it. I love doing it. So funny enough, this thing that I thought I hated doing, but it was really just my own insecurities as a child, has now become something that I love and spend a lot of time doing and want to spend even more time doing. Many things in my life, maybe the years might look the same, many things that I have resistance to in the first half, I'll end up finding something different in the second half when I go and embody those things or choose to do those things. And again, that's rewiring of the circuitry. That's rewiring of the way your mind thinks and believes. And again, my friend, this takes time. So the sooner you get started, the better. There's plenty of ways to get started. For me, what I always recommend is just taking time to slow down, building time into your routine to slow down and think within. For many people, this looks like journaling, right? Taking the time to write some thoughts on paper from your mind. Something they had us do in school, and I believe this helped me at some point. I believe it was around 6th grade time, something called a mind dump, where you really just write whatever comes to mind, right? You just write. It just doesn't make sense. You just write silly things, right? That's a good exercise, I'd say, for someone who has never really journaled before. Why? Because it gets you used to writing on paper. We're not trying to do everything at once here. We're just trying to begin the commitments that help us understand our true self, that help us understand who we really are. One little piece at a time, we're becoming more intentional around who we are and who we are tomorrow and who we're going to be the next day and the next day and the next day, based on what we've been through. But this is the practice of becoming more and more mindful, of developing our awareness and our attention around the things that we wish to understand about ourselves. So guys, if you need some help with this, let me know. I'm going to link the communities below so you guys can join up. Follow me on Instagram, like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you guys. By the way, I'm on, I don't know, day 5 or 6 since Friday of being sober. Not counting, so I don't know the exact number. But I made the video short here the other day, and I'm obviously still committed. I'm going to do my best to add that into these videos. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, get back on track with making these videos. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day.